Hey guys, my name is Ich. I'm a professional sports videographer with over 15 years of experience. But many years ago, just like you, I was a full-blown beginner who didn't know anything about this stuff. You see, this video that you're watching right now was one of my first paid gigs when I was starting my first video production business back in 2002, I think it was, in Montreal, in my hometown. I was following this very famous DJ, well, famous for the greater Montreal area. He was big on the hip-hop scene back then, and I was following him around in clubs and stuff. Actually, that's me right here. And as you can see, both my editing style and my hairstyle have changed a lot since then. But yeah, the point of showing you this is just to highlight the fact that we all have to start somewhere. This was it for me, and working with a local artist helped me to sort of build my portfolio, and I started working with other artists, and I worked in television, and then from there eventually worked with the Montreal Canadiens, and yeah, just sort of snowballed from there. But also watching that video actually reminds me of when I was editing it. I can remember being in my room and editing on my computer, and yeah, there's just such a massive difference between the way I was editing back then and the way I'm editing now. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to highlight the main differences between beginners and professional video editors. And hopefully it will help you get to a professional level much faster than I did. By the way, before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that the fastest way to take your sports videos from beginners to professional is by using sound design, and the most convenient way to do that is to simply buy my ultimate sports sound effects pack. With my pack, you get sound effects for the 12 most popular sports in the world, plus 4 bonus categories. So for only $59 US, you are guaranteed to pretty much never need another sound effects pack for your sports videos ever again. Okay, so the first and probably the main difference between a beginner and a pro video editor is the workflow. A beginner editor typically will try to do it all as they go along. So they'll put 10 seconds worth of footage, and then they'll go like, all right, let's add a title, let's add some sound design, maybe let's do some grading, and then they'll add another 10 seconds, and then they'll add more graphics on that and sound design, and then they'll play it from the start, watch the whole thing, add another 10 seconds, play it from the start, watch the whole thing, add another 10 seconds, and so on, which is extremely time consuming, and it just takes you forever to get done. The way I do it, the way a pro editor usually does it, is to work by layer. So you start with your video editor cap on, and you just, if you're in the case of a hype reel, for example, you just lock in your music, and then you build your content for that duration. And you're just working on your video, nothing else. You're just like locking in content where it needs to be. Once you're happy with that, then you move on to your next layer, which could be graphics, for example. And then you add all your graphics where you want them to be. You add visual effects, whether it's a stabilization effect, if you want to do whatever, transitions, things like that. And you just focus on that. Once you're happy with that step, then you move on to the next one, which could be color correction. And then once everything is color corrected properly, then you can grade, and then you can add some sound design. But each step is a different layer. You don't try to mix match and do everything all at once. That way, every step you're fully focused on the task at hand, and it actually goes much faster. The other thing that separates beginners from professionals is data management, because a beginner has a tendency to not be very disciplined when it comes to taking care of all the footage and the photos and the music and everything that is part of your project. So, for example, a lot of people will have their footage on the hard drive, some of it as well on the computer somewhere. Photos that they downloaded from the internet will be in the download folder. The music will be on the desktop. And that's fine when you're all editing like real quick, something on the fly. But then if you want to go back into that project a couple weeks later because you want to do a TikTok version or whatever the case may be, if a client is asking you for a change, and then in the meantime, you happen to have cleaned up your desktop or got rid of what was in the download folder because you thought, I'm never going to use these things again, and everything's deleted, and now you open your project, everything's offline, or you can't figure out where that footage that's missing, which hard drive was it on, things like that, and it's just a mess. And yeah, so the way a pro editor does it is with a lot more structure. For example, when I start a project, I always have a folder for my project. Will have my project's name on it. And in that folder, there'll be a folder for the footage. There'll be a folder for all the graphics. There'll be a folder for all the audio. And in that audio, there'll be music and sound effects and potentially voiceover if need be. Underneath my audio folder, I'll also have a project folder. So my Premiere Pro folder, my Premiere Pro project will be in there, but also my After Effects project if there is one. And then I'll also have a last folder, which will be my deliverables. So I'll export my final video in there. And if I'm doing other versions, whether it's a TikTok or a Reel or whatever the case may be, it'll be in there as well. So that way, first of all, when I'm finished with my project, it's very easy to copy that folder across onto my server at the office to make sure I have copies on both my hard drives and my server. So there's always a backup, and I never delete the card from my camera until I have the backup on the server. And once that's done, then yeah, eventually, once I'm sort of done with that project, I'll eventually delete it from my hard drive, but I'll always have a copy on my server, and everything is in that folder. And I know that if in a year or 2 or 3 from now I have to go back to that project, everything will be there. Another thing that makes a big difference as you transition from beginner to professional is to know your audience. And I know this is something that it's not really talked about a lot, but it is very important because, for example, a beginner will have a tendency to produce a video with their own sort of ideas and their own sort of taste in mind. For example, if you've just you've picked a track and you really love that track and you want to edit a video to that track, and you're just going all in with that concept that you have in your mind, and you're happy with that. And let's say it's like a slow, dramatic build, and there's this super slow motion shots, and it's heavy, it's slow, it's dramatic, and eventually there's a big boom, and it's very exciting from then on. Then that video would be great if you're doing, for example, a hype reel before a game where everybody's sitting, the lights are off, they're watching the screen, and they're into it. They can't wait for the game to start. That's perfect. But if you're doing a video for social media, whether it's Insta, Facebook, whatever, you can't have 45 seconds with nothing happening, just build up, and just no action. So a professional editor will first of all, before start editing, will ask the client, what is this for? Where is it going to play? So if I'm editing for Instagram, I got to make sure that within the first 10 seconds, there's one of the biggest plays that's going to be in the video, that's going to be on. It's going to be very exciting. If I plan to put 2 or 3 visual effects in there, definitely have a big one in the first 10 seconds. So basically, where it's going to play and who's going to watch it is going to influence the duration of my edit. It's going to influence the music track that I pick. It's going to influence my editing style. So yeah, know your audience. And the last difference between a beginner and a pro editor is the money that they get paid, because I believe that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the client always get what they pay for. If they don't pay much, they usually get more of an amateur sort of edit. And when they pay a lot of money, they get more professional work. So if you feel like you're being underpaid or you're not getting paid a lot for your videos, it probably starts from the fact that you're not super confident in your ability to produce highly professional work, and that's fine. That's where we all started. And as you practice, as you implement tricks like the ones I gave you today, you gradually get better, you build your confidence, and you charge more. And next thing you know, you'll be working on much bigger projects because you're not scared of charging higher prices because you know that you can back it up. And to get there, like I said, use the tricks, but also learn, test yourself, try new things, go into After Effects, fail at it, try again, and you'll get there eventually. On that note, if you want more help to become a better sports video editor, make sure you watch the video on the screen right now. Otherwise, thank you for watching. My name is E, and I hope I earned the privilege of your time.